Welcome back to the School of Hard Knocks podcast. I'm your host, Mark W. Knox. We back. It's episode number 91. Again, this is part of the summer, so we're going to keep it short and sweet. I wanted to have a little bit of fun this week. Before I get into the contents of the show, though, definitely, I know you just heard the drop for the Dean's List. I'm going to keep talking about it until you register. So, hardknockspodcast.com/insiders with an S. Insiders with an S. That is the website to go to register for the Dean's List. Now, spots are filling up quick. I'm not even going to lie to you. We're getting to a point where we might open it up, or we might do 2 groups and do 2 sessions. Not sure yet, but things are taking off pretty quick. At this particular stage in the game, though, you can definitely still get in. Dean's List, September 14th. All right, so I want to have some fun this week, right? It's vacation time for a lot of people. A lot of people on vacation. You're in different places. You're in different markets. You're dealing with different businesses than you normally would deal with. So I want to talk about customer service. Now, for those of you who know me on a personal level, you know that any given week, maybe at least twice a month, I'm going to have a customer service story for you. Like, if you know me and you talk to me and we cool like that, you're going to be like, this dude always either getting bad service or he always going off on somebody, or people telling me about when they did the same. I want to approach this episode from the standpoint of 2 places. Number one, a small business owner or an entrepreneur. The list I'm about to give you are things that we can do as consumers to get what we want when it comes to customer service. As a business owner, I'm going to flip this around for you, and I want you to see the inverse of what this means for you. And let me help you out a little bit. These are the things that consumers are going to try to do to get you to do things that you probably don't want to do. Okay? So just think about that as we're going through this list. And again, I'm going to keep it nice and brief this week. I know a lot of you are in motion, so thank you for your ear share. This week, like I said, it is vacation time. Seasons have changed. It's hot. Routines are off. I get it. I appreciate the airflow, the airtime. But listen, this list again is for consumers to get what they want from customer service experiences, and for business owners to know the tactics of the consumer, right? This is what the consumer is being taught from a little child all the way into a grown-up. The consumer is being taught, if you do these things, you will get what you want. But I can tell you that a lot of times, if you do these things, you will get what you want. So number one thing that the consumer can do, the customer can do to get what they want and to get a good customer service experience is to know what you want. Okay. So before you completely go off on someone over your order being wrong, or they didn't give you the amount of change that you were expecting, or the product didn't work like it was supposed to be advertised, or it broke, or you can't get somebody to come out and do something on a certain day, you have to know exactly what you want. You got to know exactly what you're asking for, especially if you're about to pop off. Because if you don't know what you're asking for and they ask you what you want, you can't answer the question, then you just look silly and you look like an emotional wreck. So, for example, you go through if you're me, you go through the McDonald's drive-thru at a particular McDonald's, and listen, I don't even eat McDonald's, but it was the only thing, so I had to pull off. You go through the McDonald's drive-thru, and you say, all right, let me get a sweet tea, a crispy chicken, and a double cheese. I don't want no fries. I don't want no toys. I want the crispy chicken, the double cheese, and the sweet tea. That's all I want. The lady says, I got your, this is where they go wrong in drive-thrus. She said, I have your total at the first window. That right there, my friends, is a red flag for poor customer service. If they can't give you the total when you put the order in at the window, that means that they didn't actually put it into the computer, because if they did, they would have a total. They didn't. They're going off memory. So at a later date, before I get to the window, she's going to throw it in. She gives me the total. I give her my card. Boom. Transaction complete. I go to the second window for pickup. I say, hey, how you doing? She hands me the sweet tea. She gives me the straw. Check, check. Boom, boom. Sweet tea in the cup holder. Next thing comes out the window is the white bag with the yellow M on it. right? The white bag with the yellow M. I open up the bag, and inside the bag is a chicken sandwich. That's it. It is admittingly missing a double cheeseburger, which I was actually looking forward to more than the chicken sandwich, because I was actually going to give the chicken sandwich away when I got to where I was going. And I wanted the double cheese, wasn't in the bag. So I said, no problem. I'm still at the window. No big deal. I say, hey, I'm missing an entire burger. There was 2 burgers on the order and there's 1 in the bag. I'm missing a whole one. Now, unfortunately, the person in the window did not speak English, right? So she was speaking Espanol. Now, my Espanol is very rusty. So I can't catch it when it's going at normal speed for them, but it sounds like it's really fast for me. I can't catch it, right? So I said, no problem. I just said, I need that. Just toss me a cheeseburger and we good. She went and got someone else, and the someone else said, can you meet me at the 3rd window? Now, that's another red flag. If a restaurant has 3 windows and it's not Chick-fil-A, that means that they're either really slow and they plan to be really slow because they built the place with 3 windows, or there's something weird going on out of that 3rd window. I don't know which one. I have my suspicions, but I go to the 3rd window. And now that I said 3rd window McDonald's, those of you who live in the northern suburbs of Cincinnati probably know which one I'm talking about. I go to the 3rd window, and in the 3rd window, there's another lady, and she says, here's your receipt. You only have a crispy chicken and a sweet tea on the receipt. And I said, wow. That's why I said it was a red flag, guys. Wow. I only got a crispy chicken and a sweet tea on the receipt, which means that the person who took my order at the speakerphone, that still sounds like it's from, 1951, even though you got LED monitors outside, high brightness situations, read the digital screens. You didn't upgrade the speakerphone anyway. That means that person didn't get my order right to begin with. So she says, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to do you want a refund? No. She says, do you want to pay for a double cheese, which means I got to do a separate transaction, or do you just want to keep your order the same? Now, this is where Mark W. Knox fails at being a consumer, because I get so high in those situations. My adrenaline starts pumping. And that's when I don't go off on people. I just speak way too much. I don't know, man. I go for the throat. I do. I go for the throat. I tell her, you know what? Because I'm an all or nothing dude. Here's my card back. I want a full refund. Here's your little sweet tea. Here's your chicken sandwich. You can have that back. I'm keeping a straw. But I'm going to give you my card, and I want a refund, and I want you to give me a receipt that shows that you gave me a refund. So she does all of that, but she doesn't come back to the window. The manager comes back to the window, and this gentleman looked at me and said, I'm sorry about that, sir. And I said, and this is where I start to fail as a consumer, because I just have a super low tolerance for bad customer service, guys. A super low tolerance, because again, you heard last week's episode, you got to own it. You got to own it. Like, if you're going to do something, be the best at that something. I don't care what that something is, but if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well, right? That's not me. That's somebody else. But if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. So he comes to the window and says, I'm sorry about that, sir. I'm like, dude, you the manager. You should have came to the window with my food and it should have been free. That's in my mind. That's what I'm thinking. And I looked at him and I said, he was about my age. I looked at him and I said, man, y'all got to tighten this up. I said, it's absolutely ridiculous that I can order 2 sandwiches and 1 drink and you guys can't get that right. And then I said, you wonder why Chick-fil-A is kicking y'all butts in chicken sandwiches and the line is down the street. You wonder why. Now, I get it. I'm talking to McDonald's, multi-billion-dollar company. One person is not going to make a difference. But the reality is, I wasn't caring about McDonald's in that moment. I was going for that manager's heart. I was trying to pull his heartstrings and say, man, you got to do better. So I say all that to say, know what you want. Know what you want. Okay. Now, what I wanted in that situation, all I wanted was my food. I knew exactly what I ordered. I knew exactly what I didn't get. And before I popped off, I made sure that they were wrong and I wasn't. Okay. Know what you want. That's number one. Number two, use names. Number two is use names. How do consumers get what they want in sticky situations? Start using people's names. Seriously. When you are at any establishment that is retail oriented, 9 times out of 10, that individual is going to have a name tag on. Take the time to read it. And even if the experience is good, you will get the warm and fuzzies when you tell them thank you as you're leaving. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Bob. Right? You'll get the warm and fuzzies just on some like you made a connection with that person. Strange as it may sound. When you are on the phone, a call center oriented situation, that person, as soon as they pick up the phone and they're going to introduce themselves, write that person's name down. Write it down, because as you're going through your progressions, your different levels of hopefully not pistivity, but you understand what I'm saying. You're going through these different levels. When you throw in their name every couple sentences, you really start to touch their heart and they really start to feel how you're feeling. They develop this sense of empathy for, I'm telling you, this is the truth. They develop this sense of empathy for you, and they really want to start helping you because you know their name. You've made a connection, right? So use people's names. Now, the situation I was just talking about, McDonald's, I didn't use their name because the manager was kind of turned sideways. He was in the window. It happens. But most of the time, I will use people's names. I like, I got a name. I want you to use it, so I'm going to use yours, okay? The other one is, which is what I completely fail at, number three on ways to get what you want as a consumer in a dicey customer service situation that I completely fail, is be calm. Yeah, I'm still here. Be calm. Wow, it's tough. You have to actually focus on being calm, because the point, when you don't get what you want as a consumer after you spent your money or whatever, usually calmness is the first thing to go. It's the first thing to go. Followed by number 4, be polite and courteous. Just because you're having a heated discussion or an intense moment of fellowship does not mean that your manners have to go out the window. Let me tell you something, guys. The worst thing you can do in a dicey customer service situation is use profanity. Absolute worst thing you can do. Most of these companies have a license to end the situation, to close the ticket, to hang up on you when you use profanity, because that right there is like the kiss of death in customer service. So you don't want your politeness, your courteousness, your manners. You don't want that to go out the window, because when you lose that, then you start to lose their respect, and then they're just waiting on a reason to hang up on you. And they're not going to get in trouble for hanging up on you if you cussed at them. Let's just be honest, right? So you got to be polite and courteous. Number five is escalate if you have to. If you're not getting what you want, if your expectations are not being met by the individual that you are speaking to, kindly and politely request to speak to someone of their senior, someone that is a supervisor over them. That is not a out of this world request. Now, it could be taken as slightly offensive to the person that you want to go clean over their head, but the reality is sometimes you have to do that. You just do. Okay. So don't be afraid to ask for a supervisor or a manager. But again, if you're going to do that, when you get to that next level, that is not an opportunity for you to go off on that person again. Right. You really need to, again, know what you want, use their name, be calm, be polite, and be courteous, because I guarantee you, if the first person you came in contact with couldn't do it, level 2, maybe your chances are a little bit greater that they can do it. But if you give them any type of attitude or lip, they deal with that all the time. See, they don't, when you get into a management role, you learn that you want issues to end with you. You don't want any issues to go past you from a chain of command, position. Right. So if I am a supervisor at a retail store, I want to be able to solve that problem on the spot, because I do not want that person to escalate to level 3, which would be a department manager or a GM or something like that. I don't want it to get that far, because that's when I start to look bad, right? So again, you want to make sure that you deal with that person in those ways, know what you want, use their name, be calm, so on and so forth, because that manager probably has the ability to do what you need done, but you're going to have to do the kid gloves approach on them, because they'll shut you down pretty quick. Okay. Oh man. So we rolling here. We're running out of time a little bit. I don't know if y'all can hear my son in the background screaming, but that's what he does. Next thing is use social media to your advantage, man. Right? I mean, you call the customer service number, you call the the call center that's somewhere where nobody is, and you get to a point where you're not getting anything done. Right? Well, I'm here to tell you that social media can be your friend. And what I mean by that is, you'd be surprised hopping on Twitter and tagging the company that you're complaining about and being relatively nice but firm with your issue right there on a public forum. You'll be shocked how quick they respond to you. You'll be shocked, right? Okay, so this was a few years ago. I was on a flight from Boston to Cincinnati. It was a Delta flight from Boston to Cincinnati. All right, and we all boarded the plane. Listen to this. We all boarded the plane, and the flight attendant comes in. They close the door. Now, this is where it gets. When they close the door, you're supposed to be it's time to go when you close the door. They close the door. Flight attendant walks down the aisle. She's doing her final count. Then she counts again. And that's when everybody was like, oh, here we go. She counted 4 times, right? And then she went back up to the front. Then another person came down. They counted 2 more times. Uh-oh. At this particular time, the door was closed. The jet bridge was already pushed away. They were about to push us from the gate, but we hadn't moved yet. So the pilot gets on the line, and the pilot says, all right, guys, somebody's on the plane that's not supposed to be. We got an extra person on the plane. If that's you, no harm, no foul. We're going to open the door. Just get up and deplane. Just get up and deplane. No questions asked. You're on the wrong flight. This is Boston to Cincinnati. Okay. He said, if nobody gets up, then everybody has to get off. So we like, you got to be kidding me. So the jet bridge comes back. The door opens and nothing happens. Nobody gets off the plane. Flight attendant standing in the front, waiting patiently. Pilot cockpit door open. Pilot is looking down the aisle. Okay, nobody get off the plane. All right. So then he makes the call a couple minutes later. All right, everybody got to deplane. So everybody literally gets off the plane. Everybody gets off the plane. Then we get back on the plane. Check this out. We get back on the plane. Before they close the door this time, they do another count. Still got an extra person. You lying. Still got an extra person. Something not adding up here. The gate agent is down there. They talking. Everybody talking. Okay, what do we do? Now, at this point, we're like 45 minutes late. We're 45 minutes past the time we're supposed to leave at this point. Gate agent talking to the flight attendant, talking to the pilots, so on and so forth. Then all of a sudden, some magic happens. The door closes. Now, granted, there was the same amount of people on the plane that there was before. Every seat was like full. Like it was the same amount of people. There was nobody extra. The door closes. We push back, and the pilot gets on and says, "We're so sorry, guys. We made a mistake. We made an extra count. We counted somebody that we weren't supposed to count. They counted like a crew member or something that was just being transported. I don't know, but they counted somebody. So now we're 45 minutes late. So at this point in time, now the flight was already leaving at like 10 p.m. because on Friday nights, leaving Boston to go to Cincinnati, you on the last thing smoking, or else you got to leave Saturday, right? So if you have a late meeting on Friday, which I commonly do have, you gotta go. So I always count, man, am I going to be home? Am I going to be home before my wife goes to sleep, right? And at that point, it was a done deal. I wouldn't have got home till like 1 a.m. and I didn't get home till 1 a.m. So I'm already sitting in my seat, very upset. So I get on Twitter and I at Delta Airlines, so on and so forth. We just spent 45 minutes playing musical chairs because the people at Delta, couldn't count. This is absolutely ridiculous. Flight such and such, such and such. Y'all tell me I got an email the next day with 2,000 points from Delta. 2,000 points. An email the next day, 2,000 points. Yeah, it was deep. Again, use social media to your advantage. Sometimes you can get through. They monitor the social media pages because they don't want any negative comments to slip past their radar, right? So if you put negative comments on like Yelp and all this other stuff, they care, but there's so many positive ones typically that live there forever that it's usually not that big a deal when you just drop one negative one in a sea of thousands. But if you're on social media and you tag them, that has the ability to go viral in some instances. And we've seen it, right? So you just want to make sure that you're using it right. Now, the last and final way, I think it's number 7, the last and final way to get what you want as a consumer. And the last and final way that small businesses are going to get manipulated based on this next one. This is a tough one for a small business. This is a tough one. If you're the consumer and things aren't going your way, ask the golden question. The golden question is, if you were in my position, what would you do? Now, I know that sounds weird, but again, it brings the situation from a macro down to a personal level. So if you're having a dicey conversation that's getting heated with someone in customer service or someone in retail or someone over the phone, whatever, and you say to them, if you were in my position, what would you do? Typically, depending on the person, they're going to say, well, I'd be very frustrated and I'd be sad. But I would understand that there's nothing that, and then you hit them with that's ridiculous. No, you wouldn't. And then you literally go from there and you run through the steps. You make sure you know what you want, usernames, be calm, so on and so forth, escalate if needed. But the reality is when you ask that question, again, you're moving yourself into a position of a human. And you're trying to make a human contact. And now you're promoting empathy from the individual that you're speaking with. And they're like, man, he's in a really tough spot. And at that point, the least they'll do is do everything that's in their power, right, to make things right. Now, you have to remember a lot of ground level employees, right, a lot of service workers, people that work in retail, they don't have the ability to give you free stuff. They don't have the ability to give stuff away. They don't have the ability to give you a discount. They don't have the ability to fix your broken widget. They can't do it, right? And they're taught many different gates and boundaries to keep you within, and they run through their progressions, all from this, all from this, all from this, all from this. And then if they're not happy, go to your supervisor and then see if they can resolve it. Like, that's the way this thing works. So you can't necessarily go off on the ground level person and expect them to move mountains. Even if they wanted to, they don't have the authority or the ability. They just can't do it, right? So your best bet, again, is to follow these 7 steps. Know what you want. Use names. Be calm. Be polite and courteous. Escalate. Use social media. And ask the golden question, right? Again, the golden question is, if you were in my position, what would you do? Main thing, and I'm talking to myself here, is to remain calm. That's the main thing. Remain calm and try not to get all worked up. Man, I got stories for days, guys. Try not to get worked up. Okay. Again, I wanted to keep it light this particular week because I know people are in motion. But yeah, this has been the School of Hard Knocks podcast. I am your host, Mark W. Knox. Just make sure you guys stay calm. Okay. Class is dismissed. All right, for my people on YouTube, I appreciate you. Hopefully you got the visual experience that I was trying to give to you on this particular show. Nothing's changed, guys. Dean's List, September 14th. You got to register now. hardknockspodcast.com/insiders with an S. Insiders with an S. There you will find the opportunity to invest in yourself, invest in your future, invest in your business. Yes, it is a tax write-off as well, but this is our 6-week coaching program, 6-week group coaching program. So visit www.hardknockspodcast.com/insiders. And if you need more information about the Dean's List, listen to episode number 89. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been the School of Hard Knocks podcast. I'm your host, Mark W. Knox. Class is dismissed.